explained earlier.
Yeah,
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping in. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. My name is Ransom Manyema. If you don't know me, my name is Ransom Manyema. I'm a medical student studying radiography, and I'm also a medical writer based in Nigeria. So, hey, amazing guest speaker. Maria, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
thank you, thank you. Sure. So I'm Maria Salcedo. I'm based in Barcelona, Spain. And on my side, I'm a graphic designer, but also a web designer and developer. So basically, taking in care all the process that is web development from wireframing, mockups, and then developing on Webflow. And I have been also helping people with their personal branding on LinkedIn since last year. Probably doing some ebooks for this year too, for 2024. So let's see how it goes. And a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Amazing. There are freelancers out there that wants to, learn about graphic designing, website designing and stuff like that. So I believe this video, is going to help them out there. So tell us, what is the difference between graphic designing and web designing?
Okay. So in terms of like the fundamentals, they are
Yeah.
similar because you need to know colors, typography, and content, and even layouts. But the difference is that on graphic design, your goal is to communicate, but depending on the media that you want to use. So if it's printing, then it's printing. If it's social media, then you have to target those specific audience on social media. But when it comes to web design, you also have to think about the developer because yeah, you can implement animations and everything else, but if the developer can't make those animations, or if you are the developer, then you have limitations too. And you have to take care of other things like accessibility, user experience. So, because when we are talking about web design, we are talking about interactions. So, we need a platform and interactions. And on graphic design, you just have a specific media, maybe video content. I mean, video content is another story. It's not a specific on graphic design, but a lot of graphic designers also know how to edit videos. But on web design area, we are talking about user experience and interaction. So things like where to place buttons, how to place them, the colors, um, the main rules that everyone uses to make internet how it is today, those things, and even the research for the specific target audience is different because on websites you have a lot of content and you need to think about which content to place, where, why, and how is it improving the whole online experience of the user.
Amazing experience. So before we go into the questions, right? Um, could you tell us, kind of freelancer, like a freelance medical writer or a freelance content writer or copywriter, whatever, can they become a graphic designer or a web designer at the same time?
I believe they can. The different thing is the process. But for example, I think for becoming a web designer, you need to know parts of graphic design because at the end, you will use graphics for the websites too. So it's not only about making the wall layout and the Figma file, but also placing the graphics that will be on the website. So, for example, if it is about AI, then not making all graphics with AI because people notice is more like, okay, then I need to implement this specific icon. And of course, you can use libraries, but if you can do it yourself, that's an advancement, you know? I mean, you can become a graphic designer and you can become a web developer. But if you know fundamentals of graphic design, then the web design and development is more easier. It's like you have an easier learning curve.
Absolutely. I'm a proficient medical content writer. You already know, and we write articles, research-based projects, SEOs, and it's not all about the writing. It's about illustrations. That's when infographics comes in, and graphic designing. You know, the pictures you put in your articles or something. So this is the necessity of the. As a freelancer, you need to have a clue about what graphic design is all about, and how you can operate as a web design. You don't need to know deeper about graphic design, like you said. You just have a clue because of your content you put in. So I have 6 questions for you to answer, Mario. Are you ready?
Sure, sure. Let's
All
go.
right. So the first question goes this way. Yeah, definitely. How do you balance the creativity of graphic design with the needs of website designing in a single project? How do you handle the two in a single project for the audience to get inspired about it?
Okay, so handle creativity and at the same time the technical part of web design, right?
Absolutely, yeah. In the
Yeah.
same project, yeah.
Yeah, so you need to know the fundamentals because on creativity, the limitations are those fundamentals on how to create a good UX design. I mean, we're talking about user experience and also fundamentals of layouts that can be done on development. So, and that's a difference too between graphic design and web design. On graphic design, you have uh, unlimited resources when it comes to making a post for social media. The only thing that you are limited is the size for the post. Maybe it's a square or maybe it's a story, and that's your limitation. But when it comes to web design, that need to be developed too. So once you are starting doing the web design part, you need to know those limitations because if you don't know the limitations, then the design won't be good. Will be as simple as that. Even if it's creative, if it doesn't go with the rules, then it's no good design. And the other thing that helps a lot is doing a wireframe. And the wireframe is like the sketch of a website. So here you can place, for example, okay, now I know that I will place a picture, but it will be a circle, and you just uh, write or draw a circle on the wireframe. And now you know there's a picture that will be a circle there. You don't know the picture yet, but it's there. And then you start working on the structure of the website. And once the structure is done, then you can go to the colors, typography, content, and everything else. But for the structure, at least you know your basic rules. So if you work with the wireframe and you have the structure done, then when you go to the other step that is mockup, you can be free talking about creativity, but keeping in mind that the structure you place is like the structure is done. Now you have to make color about it and also like integrating a specific content. So, for example, you told me that you are a medical writer, right? Well, the same goes, for example, for a website that is about dentists. We are trying to sell specific services for a dentist. Okay. Then in that case, you need a calendar because they need to book the online. And then you need to know that there will be a page for specific services that goes with the dentist, maybe a page related to the insurance that they are accepting. And those things are part of the structure. So, for example, on the calendar, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you know that this calendar works, then implement it. You don't need to be creative when something is functional and usable at the same time. Of course, there are innovations, but for a specific client, no. I think that innovations are more for, in that sense, are more for hackathons or maybe for projects, but they are long run, so they can be tested. If you don't have a lot of people to test it before it's public, it's better to go with the fundamentals and the basic structure.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's an answer to the question, and I believe that the audience will grab something off it. So I want you to tell the audience who are freelancers out there, they're gonna watch this video. So they're looking into, how to, learn graphic design and web design and stuff like that. So can you share for freelancers, can you share some, graphical web design tools or softwares, and how to imbibe them into our own too in terms of writing?
Sure. So, for example, if you are going to start looking for web, if you are a designer and you are going to start working on development, then it's better to go to Framer. Framer is a platform that you can implement your something similar to Figma, but in terms of development. If you really know how to use Figma, then Framer is easy to use. The other tool is Figma. Figma is the best platform when it comes to creating wireframes and mockups, and even the prototype. Another tool that can be used for the same is Adobe XD, but it goes with the Adobe Suite. So if you have the Adobe Suite, then it's easier. But Figma is a free tool for now, and you can also do specific things on freemium. So, and the other thing is that on Figma, now there are a lot of plugins that you can integrate with other development platforms. So, for example, the platform that I use the most is Webflow, and Webflow has a difficult learning curve because you can still start working with the structure, but when it comes to animations or other integrations, then you need how to code. So then you don't only need to know design and development, but also the coding part. So it's like another level on that part. Uh, but it's when you take it, like when you understand it, then it start being easy to use, and it has integrations with Figma too. And now I know that Figma has a new integration with Elementor. Elementor is a plugin that you can use for WordPress. So if you know technical stuff, but you don't know a lot about design, then it's better to start with WordPress. And nowadays, it's being outdated, but at the same time, if you can make a website for like at least your first website on WordPress with the plugins you need, taking in mind that you need to optimize the SEO and the pictures and the speed loading and everything else, WordPress is a good start. And with Elementor, what you can do on WordPress is stylize better the page. So you can use specific layouts. For example, if you need a div or you need a table, you can use Elementor to do it, and so on. I think that those tools are key. For portfolio or for getting inspiration, Behance and Dribble are good, but the thing is that those page they are too design focused and sometimes they forget the user experience part or the development. So it's good when you want to look colors and like creative layouts, but when you need to think about usability, it's better to go again with the fundamentals. And there are other tools. For example, there are tools for getting landing page. There are tools that are like contest, and you have like a monthly uh, page that won that monthly contest of better page of January of 2024 and so on. Uh, but yes, I mean, there are a lot of resources out there, even on YouTube and Udemy. So, and they are free resources too. So you can learn it free. And of course, there are specific things when you are growing and growing that it's better to pay and get the entire thing completed and learning it. But the basics and the fundamentals, they are out there. You just need to search for them.
Absolutely. Now we need to learn the basics first. You don't need to just jump into the main thing. Just start from small. It makes sense from there. So I want to know something. These are amazing. You know, softwares and tools you shared first. If you're a freelancer, you're looking for how to, you know, create your portfolio, your wherever working samples. So I guess if you have this software tools, and Mario said, it will help in some ways. All right. So just I believe that this is an amazing apps or softwares you listed, and it could be more beneficial to the audience out there. So thank you so much for explaining that for us. So I want to know something about the methods you use to ensure consistency of image formats across digital or printed materials. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so consistency is key because that's the differentiation point from informal business and the formal business. Uh, a business seems more trustable if it has consistency across platforms, and that goes for the branding. Uh, and you need branding guidelines for it. So the branding guidelines is like a book where you have all the guides related to your brand, starting with your logotype, but also your messaging, the tone of voice of your brand, and also specific rules. For example, how to use the colors, the color palette, how you should use the logotype or not, maybe specific messages that you don't want uh, your brand to be on, and specific things specific for web development and also for integrations related to printing. If you have a really good branding book, I mean, if you have a really good branding guidelines, then you can start working on printing and working on your social media and working on your website. Because the thing is that you have the rules of color for digital media and also for printing media. Because when it comes to printing, the colors are different because you know that you have more uh, a color range, a bigger color range digitally. So you can print, for example, total black color. You can do that. What you print is something like dark gray, but it's not like black. And the same goes for blue and other colors. When you are printing, you also have to think about the type of paper or even if it's another media. So if it's plastic, it will look different. And those kind of things, when you have a good branding guidelines, the designer that made those guidelines should add into the guidelines the colors for printing formats and the colors for digital formats. And that is key. And across platforms, mainly, of course, talking with your marketing team and talking with your designer uh, what are those guidelines and to follow them on each platform. One thing that I have saw with different business owners is that, oh yes, we can start with Facebook, and then they start their Facebook, and then they leave it inactive, and they start with their Instagram. And now when they are going to start posting on both platforms, Facebook looks totally different than Instagram, and so on. So that can be solved. One, doing like a cleaning. So you have to do a cleaning of all your websites, of all your social medias, and then start working on specifically with your guidelines.
Amazing. That's quite understandable, and I believe that the audience, especially the freelancers out there, will grab something of this video. Thank you so much for, explaining that for. So as a freelancer, you know, like me, you know, there, like you mentioned about consistency. Consistency is very important in everything you do, and it does pay, and you know, but there are new technologies, get involved in different types of niches or something. For instance, like you're a graphic designer, there are some new advancements, some new technologies used to your work. So how do you stay informed about new designs and technologies, related to web designings and graphic designers. What do you have to say about?
I think one key element is actually be a content creator because when you need to create content, uh, then that content needs to be innovative. So you need to keep researching and researching innovative things, and you will learn too. So you are doing writing the content, but at the same time you are learning while you are researching. So I think that is key. And if you are not a content creator, but you want to keep with the innovation, then definitely going to blogs and news. I mean, you have to check always the news, like day by day. You have, I don't know, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just work around them, like reading what is going on. And even on LinkedIn, because if you're not writing content, maybe you are reading content, but on LinkedIn, at least you have this step that because it's so professional, you are always looking for innovative things. It's not the same over and over sometimes that happen with TikTok and Instagram. At least with LinkedIn, you have that kind of innovation. It goes with a limit because it depends on the niche, but most of the time works good. So
So do you advise freelancers, especially to, how do you want to, how am I going to put this right now? Do you advise freelancers out there to be a content creator? You
yes,
aspect.
100%,
Why? Why do you say
because
that?
that's your personal branding. I mean, even beyond the business, if you have your own business, of if you're working for another client or whatever, your personal branding is good. So it's what you post on online. It's your presence online. So it goes with social media, but it goes too with your website and even your personal social media. And when you are posting content, you are getting authority on your niche because now other people's know that you know what you are talking about. Because one thing is like, okay, yes, I'm a web designer, but the other thing is like I post every day about web design. I go to podcasts, for example, this one, and that levels up the authority that you have on your niche. It's as simple as that. And if you
Yeah,
are not
absolutely.
like there, if you're not on LinkedIn or if you're not on Instagram or whatever social media, you have to be at least on one, like consistently. If you're not on social media or online, then how can your clients find you? The only way is to go, I don't know, to freelancer.com and start searching for the clients. And that's the difference. You start searching for the clients. If you are posting content, then the clients can come to you. Of course, you you will need to search it to, I mean, it's part of the process, but you are easing it that process. And it's more simple, and at the same time, you get a lot of connections with other content creators, and that way you can also get a lot of referrals. So it's like you are multiplying your sales funnel, basically.
I hope the audience learned something from this. You can be a content creator in terms of video or whatever, it makes you to become an authority in whatever you're doing, and it's really worth it. It's really worth it. So thank you so much for explaining that first. I started my YouTube channel 4 months ago, sure, just to reach some gaps about, you know, I talk about two things on my channel. I talk about things relating to freelancing, medical content writer, and medical talks, in general. So I was receiving messages from a couple of people, the videos I've done before. They were like, I write content, but I find it difficult for, to get traffic, to get reach for people, to know that I wrote something, like I published an article or something. I told them that it maybe depends on your two things. Maybe your infographics, like that's when graphic designing and web design comes in, and your outline. Maybe your headline is not really captivating. I decided to invite you to come talk to them so they'll know that there is a way out for everything. So thank you so much for answering these questions for them. So, are you ready for the fifth question?
Yeah, let's go.
So, could you share a project where you completed your website or a graphic designing to create a cohesive and effective experience for the clients or for anybody you worked with?
Yes. Uh, Actually, the last project that I created related to energy was for an energy, not energy service provider, but energy product like industry provider. It's more that they sell uh, industry stuff for the energy niche. It's more that case. So for them, initially they had a website that all they had a headline and their mission and vision, but it was not so captivated. The good thing is that it was they were at least online. So they had a website. That's a good part because that's a good beginning. But in terms of the typography and the colors, for example, they have a gray photo, a light gray photo, and the typography was white. So it was so unreadable. But then we changed it, and now it goes more with the branding. And now you can search for the whole list of products that they have. In the past, the only thing they had was like we sell not the products specifically, but like the areas of industry. So, for example, fracking or generators. Then they have like the category generators and category fracking. And then you click and it goes for the form. Now, when you go to each category, you can search all their products. And at the same time, when, for example, when you are clicking a form and you open it, the the reply that you get on your email goes with the specific product that they were searching. So it's making it easier because now you don't need to ask them what specific product they want. You already know it, and it was part of the process, and it was seamlessly. So that's super important. And the other part that I really like it is that they didn't implement a lot of pictures on their first website, but now there are pictures on the homepage, there are pictures on the team, and even picture of the specific products. There are still things that can be improved. So, for example, zooming in for the products or maybe different pictures for products that can be improved. But when it comes to websites, you always need to do maintenance and always keep improving monthly and even yearly. So it's part of the process.
It's a process. Everything is a process. It depends how you activate the process. So yeah, thank you so much for explaining that for us. So given the changing landscape, of designs and graphic designs and technologies, used in designing and graphic design, what advice would you give someone who's a freelancer, looking for a career in web designing or graphic designing? So what is your advice for them?
For people that are working on their career. First, start with
Yeah.
your personal branding like today, right now. Start thinking about create your profile on LinkedIn, create your profile on Instagram or whatever social media that you want. Start creating the profile at least. And then start creating content because your personal branding is super important for not only selling if you want to become a freelancer, but even if you want to become hired, you need at least like social presence, so online presence, and that way your employee can look at you. And the other thing is for the CVs, if you're looking for jobs, uh, think about ATS because right now we are in the innovative era, right? So there are even artificial intelligence device that can look for your CV, and for that your CV needs to be readable. So take care of your ATS and of course the portfolio. I mean, start working on your portfolio. A good tip for that is that maybe take a specific niche that you want to work on. Um, I know that it's hard at the beginning working on the portfolio. So on my case, I think it's better to make 2 or 3 jobs for free, but take in mind that you need to record all the process and you need to get a testimonial for those specific clients. That way, if you do a good work, maybe they will hire you for other projects too. And even if they don't worry, because at least now you have a portfolio of a specific niche and it's better. It's easier to sell later your services because now you have testimonials that can say that you are trustable, and now you are things to pictures to show to other clients, to other potential clients. So that is key. And in terms of design, your portfolio is key.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Mayor, you've been an amazing speaker thus far. To the audience, and thank you so much for hopping as a guest speaker. Regardless of your tight schedule, you had to hop in to enlighten the audience the more. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for answering these tough questions for the audience to at least learn something from it. So if you like this content, do well to subscribe, like, share to your network. Definitely to help someone. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Hey,
for
all
having
right.
me.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome.